Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April. Kevin Grevioux, the creator of Marvel's Blue Marvel and the Underworld franchise of movies, sent me a digital review copy of his new comic, Rise of the Djinn. Now, your Kevin Grevioux has signed a deal with Zenescope Comics to produce comics for them, and if this first issue of Rise of the Djinn is an indicator of the kind of work he's going to produce at Zenescope, they are going to have some great success because Kevin is creating some fantastic comics for Zenescope with this Rise of the Djinn miniseries. Now, this Rise of the Djinn miniseries fits right in line with many of the other Zenescope comics that have sexy, strong heroines from your mythology, folklore, and fairy tales in books like your Robin Hood, your Van Helsing, and your books like Grimm fairy tales. All of the books at Zenescope are absolutely fantastic and well done, and I believe Kevin's Rise of the Djinn is going to fit perfectly in that whole universe of heroes. Now, your Rise of the Djinn is a book that I really like because it features a strong, sexy black heroine, and it also reminds me a lot of one of my favorite animated series from Disney that came on in the Disney afternoon in 1994 or 1995, I can't really remember, but that was Gargoyles. Now, Gargoyles was my first introduction to actress Sally Richardson Whitfield, who inspired the character of Eastine from the SJS Direct universe. And Tamara from Rise of the Djinn really reminds me a lot of Elisa Maza, the character that Sally Richardson voiced on Gargoyles, and this book really reminds me of Gargoyles and really captures a lot of the spirit of that kind of storytelling, because Gargoyles was based on a Scottish kind of folklore as related to the gargoyle, and really brought a fantastic world of fantasy to life on screen, and Kevin brings a fantastic world of fantasy to life in the pages of Rise of the Djinn. Now, Rise of the Djinn is exploring the whole concept of the Djinn or the genie, and it does a fantastic job of introducing us to that mythology and folklore with this first issue. Now, this first issue, really, it starts out doing a great job of introducing us to the whole concept of the Djinn first, in a series of absolutely fantastic panels. Now, I first saw this kind of page layout done by a smaller publisher called Sick Media Comics in a book called Wolfclaw, and there it was done extremely poorly. But here, it is done extremely well, and this series of panels does what any good mystery does. It not only has us asking questions, but it answers those questions and then has us asking even more. Now, as this series of panels opens up in southern Iraq, we see this man desperately running for his life, but not being able to outrun these supernatural creatures. And these supernatural creatures tell him that the war has begun. Again, having us ask questions because we're wondering, what is this war all about? And the guy says he wants no part of it, but they tell him it's far too late, and that has us asking more questions. Why has war been declared on this guy? And what is this war have an impact on the people around him? Now, he's been burned, his flesh has been completely destroyed, and that reveals a creature on the inside who told them that he was trying to avoid this war, and now they're going to have this war. Again, we're introduced to these Djinn characters, and we're given some interesting things as related to this war, and that introduces us to these main characters, the Djinn, and what they want to do is have this war, and that the whole thing is we're given a reason to care later on as we go to Washington, D.C., where we have this officer, Tamara, and she's on the trail of this serial killer. Now, she says that this is the day that she died, and this is very interesting because we're coming in and we see her with her husband, who also is a police officer, and they're trying to track this serial killer, and her husband is trying to protect her. And this is a page that I really love to see. You know, you got black on black love here, and it's a very rare moment that we see in comics of a black man and a black woman together. So I really enjoyed seeing this one page in Rise of the Djinn, seeing black on black love. Now, Tamara's suiting up to go try to catch this serial killer, and her husband is trying to protect her, but she still insists on going after him. But as she goes after him, we're taken deeper into the mystery of the Djinn inside of this abandoned building, which looks like it's a complete wreck. Very well done art here, and very, very well done panel sequences that build some nice suspense. And we start to see that the victim has not been harmed, and we start to see this mysterious creature talk about how your Tamara is the Merid. And again, this has, as it answers questions, it has us asking more. Does your Tamara have some sort of supernatural powers? Is she connected to something? But before we can get an answer, she winds up getting attacked by this serial killer. And as she's attacked by this serial killer, we then see that this creature in some way might have possessed him. And sadly, her husband winds up becoming the victim of this serial killer. But was she the victim of the serial killer, or is he a victim of one of these dark creatures? That's a question that I don't think has been answered yet, and it leads to a very intriguing mystery that revolves around the Djinn and the whole concept of the Merid. So there's a lot of very interesting mysteries here, and this tragedy is one of the things that motivates Tamara to continue going on, even in the face of another tragedy, finding out that she's got stage 4 cancer. And all of these incidents, again, have your Tamara feeling hopeless, feeling like she wants to give up. And in a sequence that really reminded me of one of the most powerful sequences in Josh Howard's T-Bird and Throttle in the first issue, we see Tamara contemplating taking her life. Again, this is a very dark sequence. I know all about being in that dark place. So this one, again, resonated with me as related to this scene and feeling that hopeless. And again, very, very well done artwork that just makes you feel the emotions and just makes you feel for this character and all the pain that she's going through, losing her mother, losing her husband, and now having to deal with the end possibly of her own life. And she goes to the church looking for counsel, but really not really getting any sort of help as related to things. So now she's trying to possibly look for a way to go out here and find a way to get justice before her life ends. Now, the whole thing is we get a nice piece of foreshadowing here with one of the panels as related to one of the people working at the police station. Again, very intriguing stuff. Kevin does a great job of building the suspense as related to this mystery. And everything in here, again, is very intriguing as related to this mystery, as related to these Djinn and their powers. We get little highlights and little nuances as related to building suspense. And he doesn't give away everything in the first issue, but as the story goes on, Tamara finds out that she is, as a Merid, has some incredible powers. But I don't want to give away too much of this comic because it's absolutely fantastic. And I want you guys to head over to Zenescope and pick up a copy of Rise of the Djinn, because it's an absolutely fantastic start of a very compelling mystery. And again, this fits right in line with everything that they do at Zenescope, where you get a nice contemporary blend of action and supernatural adventure, and you get to see some strong, sexy heroines using supernatural abilities and taking on supernatural forces. And an absolutely fantastic first issue, and I see a very promising future between Kevin Grevioux and Zenescope. This is some top quality comics that they're producing together, and I really think this is going to be a great business relationship, and it's going to create some fantastic stories. and I'm very happy to see a black heroine as part of the Zenoscope universe and part of the Zenoscope mythology, and exploring this mythology and lore of the Djinn. It's just very, very well done storytelling in this first issue. I was practically floored by how well done this story was. I was floored by how well done the art was by Elmo Bondo and Jorge Cortez. An absolutely great job here with the artwork and the colors, and everything just absolutely pops. And this is a absolutely fantastic book. I mean, one of the best of 2021, I would say, and a great start to a great miniseries and a great start to a business relationship between Zenoscope and Kevin Grevioux. And I just really want to see more readers pick up this comic, because you're not going to be disappointed by this book. If you love the 90s animated series Gargoyles, you're going to love this series. And if you love just action and mystery, you're definitely going to love this book. I mean, this is a good, what I would call a good girl version of other great indie heroines, like your Everett Hartzell's Razor or your Billy Tucci's She. And you're going to get a very well done story when you pick up this book. I highly recommend you pick up Rise of the Djinn. Kevin Grevioux is in top form with this miniseries, and you're not going to be disappointed at all with this book. Now, I also write heroines on the SJS Direct imprint, similar to Zenoscope, such as the Isis series and the E-Steam series, and books like the Spinsterella trilogy. So if you want to check those books out, you can head over to Amazon.com and pick up those books featuring strong, sexy heroines in contemporary action, adventure, fantasy. And you can find those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com right now. And my first comic, E-Steam No Good Deed, is now available on Kindle for 99 cents. So if you want to check out the first comic, you can find that on Kindle for 99 cents. And my second comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, currently Antonio Balderi, the artist working on it, is halfway complete, and I hope to have that book on Kickstarter sooner rather than later. But if you want to see me do more great comic review videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.